This Davo, I grew up with Davo, and you know Matt, fine.
I heard that's getting dangerous down in Cabo right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 2 Americans were killed there a couple weeks ago, tourists. Good luck.
Well, that's not until February.
Oh, yeah.
The golf and Musselman, so gosh, I may have to postpone it. But I'm sure Musselman's behind some gates.
Yeah.
Somewhere down there.
Just so his guards have AK-47s to defend themselves. All right.
I didn't know that. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, no, I was surprised. All right. Well, Piper, are you ready?
I'm going to start the recording.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the HARC Chair meeting of December 19th, 2025. Our public hearing item this morning is 536 West Columbia, CA number 3. It's consideration of an elevated insubstantial scale application inside the THLD for an amendment to the CA that does not constitute a vested site-specific development plan per Land Use Code 7203A3D3. Legal description is Lot 31R, Block 9, West Telluride Edition, according to the plat recording of 428 of 22 at 476403 records of San Miguel County, 4219 well, it's 4,219 square feet. And this address is 536 West Columbia, historic residential zone. Owners 536 West Columbia LLC, applicant Salt Architects Dylan Henderson, and staff member Darren Candelaria.
All right, thank you, Mark. And this is for the consideration of an elevated insubstantial scale application inside the THLD for a certificate of appropriateness amendment. This elevation was requested by the applicant. 536 West Columbia is in the historic residential zone district and treatment area. Located on the south side of Columbia Avenue, there are 2 historic structures on the lot, both listed as non-contributing without qualifications. Project history and proposal. On July 31st, 2023, a CA was issued for a small-scale demolition and new construction at 536 West Columbia. On September 25th, 2024, CA Amendment Number 1 was issued for changes to the lighting plan, window layout, and exterior stairs on the southeast corner deck. March 31st, 2025, CA Amendment Number 2 was issued for an addition of a hot tub between the garage and the rear deck. The current proposal for CA Amendment Number 3 proposes design and construction updates to the rear stairs and deck system, as well as a front deck extension. Staff recommendation. Staff finds that the reconfiguration of the stairs, along with the connection between the upper level deck and the secondary structure, is not in compliance with the design guidelines. The proposed changes increase the perceived mass and scale. These changes are also incompatible with what would have been found historically in this treatment area. Staff are also concerned that the proposal changes the utilitarian character of the secondary structure with further connection to the primary. Therefore, staff recommends continuing the application to allow for compatible revisions. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
No questions. Thank you. We'll go on and hear from the applicant.
Great. Thanks so much, Dylan Henderson, Salt Architecture.
Ben Jackson, owner, developer.
So the first one I think is fairly easy. The original approved HARC plan had a 4-foot front deck. The owner asked for 2-foot extension so that we could get more usable space, possibly planters, things like that, so that they just had more circulation on that front deck, and staff recommended approval on that. So I don't have any comments on that, but if you have questions, happy to answer them.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. On the rear, if we can go to the next page, please. On the rear, so currently the way that this stair is configured and approved is that we circulate from the driveway up onto the rear deck And then there's a stair that's approved from the rear deck up to the garage unit. So really what this is a reconfiguration from the driveway to the rear garage structure, where we're not forcing the people who live in the house to circulate onto the master bedroom deck and get up to the garage. And then this extension from the garage to the upper level. The upper level is where the living room is. And so this connection allows for two different things to happen. One, that when you circulate from the driveway and the garage area, you don't have to pass through the lower bedrooms on the lower floor to get up to the living level. So we feel that that's very important just from a ease of access to this house, is that forcing people to circulate either up the side yard that will be full of snow in the winter or through a bedroom doesn't seem overly practical. And then it allows people who are on the upper level, living level, to circulate down to the garage unit and or to circulate down to the hot tub without having to pass through the two rear bedrooms in the house. If you go to the next slide. So this was a presentation that was offered to both of the neighbors on the east and west side. And we have two approval letters, one from James Liu and one from Robert Schmidt, who are the east and west neighbors of this property.
Can you blow those up for me? Zoom out in. And I read the letters, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so we have approval from both neighbors. The west neighbor is going to be the most impacted, and we got an approval from him, and Ben can talk more to that. But the perceived connection, the connection between the garage and the upper level will only be seen by the western neighbor. You actually don't have the ability to perceive this when you're walking down the alley. And so the image in the lower right corner is showing that we have no visible public view of this connection stair. The impact would only be to the western neighbor who supports this. And again, it allows us to have reasonable access between the upper level of the house and the parking area and the hot tub.
And James will see it from the east. You can see it in that upper left photo.
Yeah.
He'll be in his backyard, but I spoke with James about it. He's okay with it. And we also have some examples we sent. I mean, these bridge connectors are very common in mining, historical mining towns. We had some examples of those, as well as
We'll show those on the next slide.
there's a couple of houses that have them, but this is really just to, avoid people having to walk through bedrooms to get, through the circulation, like Dylan said. But
if
walking down the alley, you're gonna be able to see that view.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
Yeah, if you zoom out on this, so this is on First Street. So this is sort of an exact description of what we're proposing here is a small connection between the garage and the upper level. Again, not forcing people to circulate through the house, and this was previously approved. And there's some examples up on Aspen Street as well, where we have these connectors. Darren, if you can go to the two photos that we shared with you. Ben was referring to, well, actually, let's just finish this one. If you go to the next page, Darren.
Sure.
Oh, these are just the letters which you said that you read,
Yeah.
Mark. So
Yeah.
if you show those two images, Darren, that'd be great. These are just examples of kind of mining vernacular and the connectivity and showing these connections that are sort of historic and I think would fit with the architecture. I think if the concern is what is the public's view.
Here they come. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just didn't see them at first. Go ahead. If you could zoom in on there, that'd be great.
Yeah, we just have some examples of these sort of historic mining connections between buildings. And I don't think that it is outside of the mining vernacular of Telluride and the connection between these garages and main structures. If you go to the next slide, please.
Pull them. Same time, maybe? No.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, so this is just sort of that mining vernacular and kind of goes with what these alley sheds are trying to do, and sort of the connection back to these primary structures that were the primary use and utility on a site. And so I think in whole, what we're trying to get here is a reasonable connection between parking and living level, reasonable egress from that living level down to that parking area, preventing circulation through primary bedrooms to be able to access your garage and your parking area, and doing our very best to keep this out of public view and keep the mass and scale as low as possible while still allowing practical circulation around the site. And I do feel that it fits the vernacular of historic mining architecture, and again, trying to keep this as minimal as possible. So Ben, did you have anything else?
No, that was great. Minimal and invisible to the public. The neighbors on both sides, I've spoken with them extensively, and they're okay with it. They're the ones that are going to see the impact of this.
Yeah. And it's a great point that invisible, we did make the rails on the upper connection glass so that we could make those go away as much as possible. I'm absolutely willing to look at how to make those even more delicate, but I think that's the intent of why we presented the glass as well. So happy to answer any questions, Mark.
Okay, and I struggled with this a little bit. I have, I guess, two questions. One was, if the living room is in the secondary structure, why didn't they do this going in for their approval if this was going to be so important? Why an afterthought if it was so critical not to go through bedrooms to get to the living room?
Well, no, the living room is on the primary structure. It's on the upper floor. And the secondary structure is the garage, and it's a garage unit there.
Okay, but that's a bedroom unit above the garage?
That is a bedroom unit above the garage. And originally, if you remember, because this application goes back quite a few years, originally when this application went through, the living level was on the entry level. So when you walked in from the street, that was where the kitchen, living, things like that were. We decided subsequently, once Ben decided to move forward with this project, that we would put the living room upstairs in the primary structure because the views from there are exceptional. And so that was something that was done kind of, during our application process. And, to answer your question, Mark, I think it should have been better thought through, and we're trying to resolve that now.
Yeah, we honestly missed it. I mean, I did, Dylan did. So.
Yeah. And so I am cleaning up what should have been part of our original proposal, Mark, to answer your question.
Yeah, well, and one last question. I mean, when I first saw the glass panels, I thought, well, first of all, Darren's conditions are correct and relevant. The question of visibility I'll address here in a moment, but which you made a point about. But what could we do? What word do you use to, quote, lighten up or make more indiscriminate this stairwell, and so that it kind of goes more away, even though the owners, I guess, said okay. But again, I'm looking at this guideline, particularly on the alley.
Darren, can you go back to the First Street photo? The First Street photo, I think, is indicative of what we're doing, and maybe we could talk about that a little bit.
And then I'd like to get Darren's input on that also.
Sure.
But let's go back and then zoom in on it. And I actually know what that looks like because I was there. But okay.
Yeah, so the example here is you have steel C-channel stringer and landing. And then we have these 4x4 vertical, well, they're not 4x4 verticals, but they are 4 inches in width, right? Where we have these, pretty heavy baluster with then pretty heavy tabs. So to answer the question, I could really lighten up that rail that's acting as the structure that's holding the glass. Like we could take those down to a very minimal 2x2 with much smaller tabs to be able to get more glass and less structure, if that makes sense. There's probably not much I can do on the stringer because the stringer is like a structural support in something like this, but I could certainly lighten the rail. But to your point, the neighbors did come back and give us approval on this, and they're the ones who are going to be impacted.
Yeah, I understand. And I'll take that in consideration. I actually still, well, we'll hear from the public, and I would probably know public, but I don't, before I lose you, I want to go back to Darren. Darren, I get that the 2x2 rails would have less substance and still look, you know, utilitarian, but I mean, if I were to consider this, would you prefer the glass or no glass? I mean,
That's a good question, Mark.
because
do
that's
think-
definitely, it seems like that creates a fish out of water with tradition. I mean, if I were to consider this, I mean, adds this contemporary look in an HR district, and I don't know. I know, can't see it from the alley, but I'm just on the fence about that, and so you know, just seeing if you have any gut feeling.
Sure. I understand that the glass helps with visibility, but I think maybe a change would actually help just consistency personally.
Okay, thank you. Running glass. Okay, let's hear from the public. One at a time, please. All right. Well, hearing none, Piper, and seeing none electronically. Okay. One of our values is consistency, and I don't want to be a hypocrite here. I concur with, you know, Darren's citing of the guidelines, although utilitarian is the key word for me in the AS 2B1. And I have approved 3 of these in my last 10 years, including one of them at North Further was Ben's project. So I guess I would say this, since I'm just deliberating out loud for the record. If this was seen from the alley, I would be more stringent in my interpretation, and I would say this just needs to be eliminated and go away. And again, I'm a little disappointed this didn't come in with the original design, but as I recall, neither did it on the last 2. But that said, I think with a modification to lighten this up and get rid of the glass, I can look in the mirror and say the utilitarian character would still be germane. But if it was visible from the alley, just because I'm going to create an expectation for the future, there's no way I could see to approve this connection. So I'm going to propose a motion to approve the CA amendment at 536 West Virginia or West Columbia, based on the findings in the staff memo dated December 19, 2025, with the following conditions. Okay. I'm going to eliminate number 1 and create a new number 1. And the new number 1 would be to lighten up and go to a maximum of 2x2 rails, and delete the glass to enhance the utilitarian character of this connection, which is not visible from the alley. And per HR 17D4, HR 21 intro and A, and AS 2.B.1. This motion is based on evidence testimony provided at a public hearing held on December 19th, 25, with the notice of such hearing provided as required by the Telluride Land Use Code. And the revised plans incorporating the conditions of approval shall be submitted in 60 days as approved, or this approval becomes null and void, and the rest as written. So thank you very much. Happy holidays to everybody. And
Thank you, Mark, so much. Thank you, staff.
Thank you, staff.
Happy holidays.
Appreciate it.
Thank you again, staff, and we will adjourn at 11:18 and
Hopefully
and
see
have
you
a
on more of the
we
mountain
can-
before.
I hope to see you again after your February trip. I hope to see you after your February trip from Cabos.
I secretly texted Tom.